So that's why it was delightful to bump into Rachel, because there she was, famous Rachel, you know, Dragon's Den, and you know, out there as the woman entrepreneur in the UK. And one of our first interactions was on Twitter, I think it was. And you said, "I've just read The Power of Now," which is one of my all-time favourite spiritual books. And then you were talking about Ask and It's Given, which is probably the second most favourite spiritual book. And I recognised then that there was something here, and the fact that Rachel's out there kind of in the business world, and I've been kind of in the cloisters my entire life, and you know, just seeing how we can help each other to bring each other's skills together so that we can support each other out. And Rachel, it was wonderful. Rachel was able to come and have a coaching retreat with me 2 weeks ago, and so it meant she could get to know some of the ways I work 2 weeks ago, and had a great time.
Yes, you're a bit like a sort of spiritual midwife, aren't you?
Okay.
People through to, because it's quite funny that I don't quite know what happened, but so much stuff was unblocked and started to flow since like literally every day, just like a whole torrent, almost like someone had just unblocked a passage, you know, for just stuff to flow through, and then other stuff just fell away, which was not relevant anymore. So I'm still in that process.
Yes.
So it's quite interesting to do that energy work, because you can't describe it. When you do those sort of energy work, you couldn't actually explain what happened. Which bothers me. I think that's to do tick. I think that's we'll deliver this.
That's really good that you said I can't explain it. That's really good, because I think, you know, I also get that all of us here, most of us are very capable, very organised, quite forceful, quite bossy maybe a little bit control freaky. You're recognising these? And we are actually quite capable in that mode. And actually what this day is an invitation into doing is surrendering into the unknown a little bit, into the unfamiliar, and allowing ourselves to be supported by other forces or things bigger than us. Because when we had a chat initially about, it feels like doing nothing, I think you said if you just surrender and do magnetic telepathic marketing, it feels like doing nothing. I said, no, I think it feels like losing control. And I think we need to learn how to be comfortable in that thing of allowing ourselves to be held. I speak for myself, let me tell you, of being held in something much bigger, which actually just means you can laugh and play and have a great time, and magic things along the way, which I think is part of this new emerging wave of how we're all going to be working and manifesting things together. So if there's a sort of spirit for today, it's let's surrender into the unknown, let's drop the personas and and if we notice ourselves hanging on to what we normally protect ourselves with, that's fine. But just perhaps ask the question, what would happen if I just breathe and let go? Okay, so where are we? It's something interesting, you know, with our kind of rational thinking and our intellect and our ideas and plans and business plans and all that. We think we're being terribly objective and you know, just very clear and very, you know, logical. Actually, what is happening 9 times out of 10 is we're being driven by unconscious emotional stuff that we're not conscious of. And then we're dressing it up in this nice sort of rational, you know, scientists and politicians are brilliant at this, you know, but it's scientific, you know, I've proved it. Actually what's underneath is some terrible personal investment in the experiment being that way or this way. So I guess part of opening to intuition is opening to, what it requires is for us to become aware, more and more aware of perhaps the unconscious and the underlying things that are motivating us and prompting us that we haven't been so aware of. One of the ways I was sort of taught this phenomenon back in my Buddhist days, my original Buddhist teacher he talked about this phenomenon of mind reactive and mind creative, he called it. Because back in my student days I was obsessed with the free will and determinism debate, which is, are we free? Do we choose? Do we make up our destiny, make up our life? Or is it all pre-programmed and we're just a kind of product of our conditions and we're just robots and that's it, we've had it? I did psychology at university, but I also did philosophy and sociology and all those yummy things. And this was the question. What are we? Who are we? How, you know, have we got any say in any of this? And then I realised, when I heard this teaching about mind reactive and mind creative, actually it's both. And the thing that makes a difference is awareness. If we're aware, if we have consciousness, if we have pause, then we have got the freedom to choose our response to things. If we're unaware, if we're caught up in habits, we don't have the freedom, and so we are victims of our conditioning. So it's really, really very simple. So my teacher described mind reactive as when we just knee-jerk response. You know, we haven't had time, we don't pause, we're not aware enough, and we're just acting blindly. That's mind reactive. Mind creative is where we've just got a bit of inner gap inside us, and therefore we can go, choose a response. And it's interesting, Pat, my husband, was pointing out that the words creative and reactive are made up of the same letters, just jumped up. So this gap really is what I think meditation can help us create. I don't know what I'd be like if I hadn't been meditating for 25 years. A very different person, I think. Because, you know, meditation is what, you've all heard it, you've all practiced it, stills the mind. And it seems to kind of bend time, actually. So that you're not just in automatic pilot, you do have this gap. But it's a practice, just like getting fit at the gym. You know, if we're out of condition, we need to go to the gym before we really adept at it. Same thing with meditation, we practice. So when we sit down and meditate, we are literally just exercising our capacity to be aware.